The lines formed massive, glorious drawings. There was a monkey more than 100 meters long, a hummingbird that stretched its wings for more than 50 meters, and an array of geometric spirals and other shapes.
For decades, the mysterious Nazca Lines in Peru have captivated the imaginations of archaeologists and historians alike. Now, AI has finally solved the mystery behind these ancient drawings, and the implications are more disturbing than we could have ever imagined. But what could this mean for the future of humanity? Join us as we uncover the details behind this discovery. The mysterious drawings of the desert. Deep in the dry southern lands of Peru, far from the bustling streets of Lima, there is a quiet plateau between the towns of Nazca and Palpa. Known as the Pampas de Humana, this vast flatland spans over 80 kilometers. Despite appearing empty from above with just brown earth under the sun, it holds mysterious and gigantic shapes. These are the Nazca Lines, ancient drawings etched into the earth by people who have long since disappeared, yet still visible after centuries. She talks about the Nazca Lines. The primary road, known as Panamericana Sur, passes nearby. Travelers on this road may not pay much attention. However, just south of a small village called San Miguel de la Pascana, the landscape becomes extraordinary. In an area of approximately 10 by 4 kilometers, remarkable shapes emerge. These geoglyphs are the most distinct and detailed. They can only be fully appreciated from high above. When viewed from an airplane or drone, large animals, birds, and human figures sprawl across the desert floor like sketches in a massive notebook for children. The lines were first mentioned in 1553 by a Spanish explorer named Pedro Cieza de León, who believed they were paths or markers for trails. Other explorers also observed these marks, with one mentioning old roads in 1569. However, it wasn't until the 1920s that the true significance of these lines started to be understood. Peruvian archaeologist Toribio Mejia Zespe first saw them from nearby hills in 1927 and discussed them in a conference in 1939. She talks about a man named Paul Kosak from New York visited Peru in the early 1940s to study ancient water systems. While flying over the Nazca Desert, he noticed something unexpected. One of the lines resembled a bird. It wasn't just a simple line, but intricate art etched into the ground. There were numerous similar formations like it. This led him to question the purpose behind these designs. Kosak teamed up with Richard Schadel and Maria Reiche, a German specialist living in Lima, to delve deeper into the patterns. Some people thought that the lines were somehow related to the sky. Perhaps they were used to keep track of the movements of the sun and stars. It's possible that the lines were like a calendar drawn on the ground. Many other scientists also became interested in the mystery of these large drawings. They wondered about the significance of these massive designs. Were they created for gods? Were they part of ceremonies? Were they messages sent to the heavens? Up to now, no one has been able to definitively say what the purpose of the lines was. Understanding how the lines were created is simpler when we look back. In ancient times, magic or aliens were not necessary. With basic tools and intelligence, people uncovered light clay by removing dark stones on the surface. This process allowed them to make distinct, sharp lines. The drawings were preserved well in the dry and calm climate of the desert. Additionally, the morning mist acted as a natural seal, providing an extra layer of protection by hardening the lines. Some researchers discovered wooden stakes at the ends of lines. These stakes were used to indicate straight paths, with one of them helping determine the age of the geoglyphs as ancient. During the 2000s, Joe Nickel demonstrated that a small group of individuals using basic tools could replicate the figures in a short time. This indicated that the Nazca people were capable of constructing such marvels without the need for airplanes or advanced technology. The size of the drawings is enormous. The well-known hummingbird measures about 93 meters in length. The monkey is 93 by 58 meters in size. The giant condor extends over 139 meters, and the spider is 47 meters from one end to the other. Altogether, the drawings cover nearly 450 square kilometers of land in the desert. He talks about the size. This is a huge art project that takes up a large area on the desert ground. New findings are continuously emerging. In 2011, researchers from Yamagata University in Japan uncovered two new sculptures, one resembling a human head and the other an animal. By 2012, they had discovered close to 100 additional figures. To further their research, they established a research facility at the location. In 2019, the team collaborated with IBM Japan and used artificial intelligence to uncover 143 new drawings, including one discovered solely through machine learning. The following year, they found a large cat drawn on the side of a hill that had been overlooked for years because of the steep, eroded slope. The findings continued to grow. By 2022, there were 358 geoglyphs known to exist. Drone technology has helped uncover even more shapes. In 2024, a significant advancement occurred when a team from Yamagata University and IBM used AI to find 303 new figures, such as monkeys, whales, cats, parrots, and even depictions of severed heads. The team spent months walking across the desert for over 1,400 hours to verify the images, and an additional 1,200 hours were spent reviewing AI-generated photo recommendations. The more they looked, the more they discovered. Each new picture provided more information. The Nazca people created these large pieces of art, but why? Why did they include animals that were not native to their environment? Were these drawings meant to convey messages, serve as symbols of their beliefs, or communicate with beings above? The solutions are still concealed under the hot sun of the desert. However, due to dedication, advancements in technology, and a sense of wonder, the ancient Nazca land is revealing its secrets once more. But what secrets did AI reveal about this desert, and how does it change everything we know about our origins? The desert's hidden message. For almost a century, experts believed they had discovered all the mysteries in the Nazca Desert. However, a surprising development occurred when a team of researchers, headed by Masato Sakai from Yamagata University, collaborated with IBM Research. Their introduction of artificial intelligence into the investigation led to rapid breakthroughs within only 6 months. The AI did not just provide assistance, it took control and identified something that humans hadn't noticed for many years. It found 303 new geoglyphs, which is more than twice the amount discovered by people in almost 100 years. These were not old shapes recreated, they were completely new. These symbols, patterns, and meanings were all new. Some of them were so faint and concealed that no human could have seen them. However, the AI was not guessing. It was programmed to recognize the shapes, lines, and symbols of the Nazca culture. It was taught what to search for. The outcome was complete surprise, followed by enthusiasm. The desert turned out to be more than just a large art exhibit. It was a map with a hidden meaning. The newly discovered geoglyphs were not random. They depicted llamas, whales, and unusual human-like faces. Some of them also aligned perfectly with ancient trails and potentially sacred pathways. Even more shocking, a few of these shapes were small, just a few meters wide. They were too small to be seen by satellites or drones. However, the AI detected them all. The Nazca lines were no longer just lines. They were seen as data that was clear, organized, and meaningful. Sakai's team started mapping and categorizing them. It was not just about finding more drawings. It was about redefining our understanding of the Nazca people. What message were they attempting to convey? What was the purpose behind creating these forms? And how were they able to accomplish this without the use of modern technology? The secrets might still be buried underneath the sand in the desert. Thanks to artificial intelligence, we are now beginning to comprehend the message. The Nazca Desert is no longer quiet, it is communicating, and we are finally figuring out how to pay attention. But what impact has this AI made, and how is it changing the way we see the world? The global hunt begins. The origin of everything was in the deserts of Peru, where ancient people created large shapes on the ground called the Nazca Lines. When artificial intelligence was introduced, it revolutionized everything. The AI did not just find more drawings, it also revealed hidden meanings, unseen patterns, and a forgotten language. The impact of what happened in Nazca spread around the world like a spark. Many researchers around the world are now utilizing AI to explore more deeply without physically interacting with the ground. In the Middle East, algorithms are being used to scan farmlands and identify unusual shapes under the ground, possibly ancient cities that were once part of Mesopotamia and are now hidden beneath layers of time. In Egypt, similar tools are being employed in the Nile Delta to uncover forgotten tombs and roads, by training AI to detect unusual changes in the landscape and shadows. In Saudi Arabia, satellite images appeared to show nothing, but artificial intelligence was able to detect over 400 ancient stone structures called mustatils that are older than the pyramids. These structures had not been previously noticed. Similarly, in Australia, drones assisted artificial intelligence in discovering thousands of Aboriginal rock art sites that had been hidden over time and were not included on old maps. AI is being used in Central America to uncover Mayan highways that were previously lost in the forest. The stone roads, hidden by jungle growth for many years, are now being revealed with the help of machines. It all began with one test called Nazca. The most significant advancement was not the large number of new geoglyphs discovered, but our new approach to viewing history. Previously, we relied on time and weather to reveal the past. Now, we actively seek it out using artificial intelligence. However, there is a problem. AI can reveal hidden information, but it cannot safeguard it. The responsibility for protecting it still lies with us. Will we utilize this capability to understand the messages from past civilizations? Or will we allow modern society to erase their stories permanently? There are solutions available. We now have the necessary tools to uncover them for the very first time. AI has helped solve part of the mystery, but it also brings up a bigger question. What is the purpose of these lines? When the sky revealed the truth. It all began when a Peruvian archaeologist named Toribio Mejia Zespe observed a peculiar pattern in the sand in 1927 while exploring the Nazca Desert. He talks about the discovery he noticed shallow trenches carefully carved into the dry ground, although they appeared to be simply lines from a distance. The amazing discovery did not happen until years later when commercial pilots flew over the region. From high up in the sky, the shallow trenches turned into huge pieces of art. Designs of birds, monkeys, spiders, and geometric shapes, some over 400 yards long, looked like they were drawn by giants. The desert floor turned into a big canvas. What seemed unimportant from below now held something very mysterious. This is when the real questions started. Why did an old society make art that can only be seen from above? How could they conceive of such an idea without the ability to fly back then? These were not just basic decorations, but rather intricate, large, and intentional pieces of art. Over time, researchers and enthusiasts have attempted to uncover the meaning behind these mysterious lines. Some speculated that they were linked to religious practices, while others proposed a connection to celestial bodies, possibly resembling a sky map on the ground. Many believed that the lines served as navigational aids during ceremonies or as markers for important locations. There were also those who thought the lines were created as offerings to deities, visible from the heavens. A group of researchers believed that the shapes on the ground corresponded to constellations. They thought that maybe those who created them were looking up at the stars and trying to mimic what they saw. However, other researchers disagreed, saying that the lines did not accurately match the stars. Another theory proposed that the shapes were used for an intricate irrigation system, to help guide water or mark land for farming in the arid desert. However, these theories were not able to account for everything. Certain scientists observed that the animal figures were located in areas away from fields or bodies of water. Additionally, some researchers discovered that certain lines coincided precisely with the sun's position during the solstice. This led to speculation about whether the lines and figures could have served as a calendar in ancient times. However, none of these explanations seem to provide a complete understanding of the situation. Then, a new development occurred as technology became involved. Satellites were used to observe the terrain from above. Drones were deployed to fly over the desert, creating detailed maps of every twist and turn of the lines. Artificial intelligence was then employed to analyze intricate patterns that were too difficult for humans to recognize. As a result, additional geoglyphs started to be discovered, some buried beneath sand, others obscured by erosion or modern infrastructure. Surprisingly, some of these newly found geoglyphs were even older than the ones previously identified. The more they investigated, the more complicated the image appeared. Certain new designs did not resemble the usual Nazca style. Instead, they appeared to be linked to the Paracas culture, a group that resided in the area many years before the Nazca. These shapes were positioned on slopes rather than level ground, and were meant to be seen from below rather than above. They were meant for humans on the ground, not deities in the sky. It seemed as though the Paracas community initiated the narrative, and the Nazca further developed it, contributing their additions in an even more extravagant manner. Some experts think that the lines could have served various purposes throughout history. Initially, they may have been used to indicate graves or important locations. Later on, they could have been incorporated into rituals or as a form of communication to direct people or link them with a higher power. It's possible that some lines were also used as large looms for creating textiles with patterns similar to those in ancient fabrics. Each shape, line, and figure may have had a specific function based on the artist and the time period. However, the story becomes even more intriguing at this point. Despite the advanced technology uncovering secrets of the desert, the focus shifted away from the current inhabitants of the area. The lines near Nazca mean more to the local communities than just being ancient artwork. These lines are a significant part of their culture and history, with stories being passed down through many generations. Certain families even have rituals near the lines to mark the changing of seasons, as the land holds a sacred value to them. These shapes in the desert hold deep meaning, beliefs, and duties for the locals, showing that they do not require artificial intelligence to understand their significance. A lot of people who live near the ancient lines feel like they are being excluded from the research being done by outsiders. These researchers travel from distant places to study and document the lines, but the locals are not involved in this work. Some believe that too much attention is being given to the mysterious aspect of the lines instead of their significance. The locals want to preserve the land, not just because it contains secrets, but because it is a part of their history and heritage. In recent times, a few research groups have started paying attention. They are collaborating with older people from the area, teaching young individuals from neighboring communities, and combining traditional methods with modern technology to gain a deeper insight into the Nazca Lines. Perhaps this is what lies ahead. The focus is not only on uncovering secrets from the past etched in the sand, but also on mastering the art of posing the correct questions, all the while showing respect. Ultimately, the drawings may not necessarily be about deities, celestial bodies, or even signals to the heavens. Instead, they could simply serve as a lasting indication that the past is always present, buried beneath the surface, ready to be uncovered and understood. Maybe if science and spirituality come together, the desert will express itself more clearly. But could all of this be a mystery, or simply a message passed down through the centuries? Keep watching to find out more. The theories behind the Nazca Lines. For years, individuals have pondered the reason behind the Nazca Lines. Why were these large shapes etched in the desert? Various theories have emerged, with some suggesting that they were linked to a water ceremony. In a dry region where rainfall is scarce, it is plausible that ancient people would have used symbols to appeal to the gods for water. The depictions of spiders, birds, and plants may have symbolized life, flourishing, and fertility, crucial elements for survival that are closely associated with rain. Some believe the lines served a practical purpose. Experts think the straight lines could have indicated underground water sources or were used in ancient irrigation systems. It is possible that the Nazca people walked along these lines during rituals, either to pray for rain or direct water to certain areas. These interpretations demonstrate the strong relationship between life and nature in the desert. Some people think the Nazca Lines might have been used as a calendar. According to these theories, the shapes and lines on the ground could correspond to stars and the sun's journey across the sky. Phyllis Pitluga, a researcher, suggested that the massive spider drawing represented the constellation Orion. She also proposed that certain lines could have pointed to stars in Orion's belt, tracking their positions over time. However, not all experts agree with this interpretation. Critics argue that Pitluga only examined a small portion of the lines and neglected others, which weakens her theory. There are also some more unconventional theories. Erich von Daniken, a writer from Switzerland, suggested that aliens may have been the creators. He wrote a book where he proposed that the geoglyphs were created as landing spots for UFOs. According to his idea, extraterrestrial beings came to Earth, taught ancient civilizations, and then left. He believed that the figures were made to signal them to return. However, his theory was dismissed by scientists who demonstrated that the lines could have been created by ancient people using basic tools. However, people were interested in his ideas. Tourists visited the area, curious if extraterrestrial beings had influenced it. The Nazca Lines, whether created for spiritual purposes or something else, continue to captivate the world as a stunning mystery. Drawn quietly, they patiently await someone to uncover their secrets. The Paracas Puzzle. The Nazca civilization was long thought to have created the mysterious desert drawings in Peru. They lived from 100 BC to 800 AD and were given credit for all the lines, shapes, and figures in the earth. However, a surprising revelation changed everything. Researchers working with artificial intelligence discovered new geoglyphs that were different from the Nazca style. These geoglyphs resembled designs from the Paracas culture, which existed before the Nazca civilization. The Paracas people were known for their cliff tombs, colorful fabrics, and skull-shaping practices. It appears that they may have been the first to create desert drawings. The evidence was easy to understand. Recently discovered geoglyphs were etched into the hillsides to be viewed from below, not from above. These were not intended for aerial viewing. They were meant to convey messages to people walking on the ground. It's as if they created the first large signs in the Andes that could be seen by anyone close by. This discovery changes everything. It's possible that the Nazca people did not create the lines, but rather inherited them and built upon them to make them larger and more intricate. The older designs found near ancient burial sites appear to be more focused on honoring the deceased, while Nazca art often depicts the sky, rituals, and spiritual voyages. These represent two distinct cultures with different interpretations. However, they may share a common goal of asserting ownership over the land by marking it as their own. And now it gets even more sinister. A few experts suggest that the Nazca civilization may have altered or removed previous designs created by the Paracas people. As time passed, leaders may have desired for their symbols to prevail, changing the original significance with new authority. This desert contains more than just drawings. It contains many layers. These layers hold culture, beliefs, and forgotten stories. Each scan using artificial intelligence uncovers more information, symbols obscured by roads, shapes deteriorated by time, and stories nearly erased. The deeper we look, the more we discover. The history is not lost, it's simply concealed, waiting to be revealed, one ancient message at a time. Voices beneath the sand. For years, people around the world have been amazed by artificial intelligence discovering hidden geoglyphs in Peru's Nazca Desert. The media has praised each new discovery, and satellites have provided dazzling images. Scientists have been happy with the progress. However, amidst all the excitement, the voices of the local residents have been overlooked. The Nazca Lines are not just ordinary lines to the local people, especially those who are descendants of the indigenous communities in the region. They hold a significant spiritual value and carry stories, teachings, and beliefs that have been passed down through many generations. These ancient designs are not something new to the locals, as they have always lived with them, prayed near them, and made efforts to protect them. While artificial intelligence may uncover new images of the Nazca Lines to the rest of the world, it also causes distress to those whose ancestors were already familiar with the sacred significance of the land. Many people who live near the research sites feel ignored. Foreign teams usually take charge of the research, coming in with their equipment and data, and then sharing their reports without involving the locals. The residents are hardly ever asked for their input. While a few locals are hired to assist, they are not usually seen as equal partners in the research. However, the discussion is evolving now. More individuals from Nazca and surrounding communities are speaking up. They desire recognition not only as caretakers but as guardians of their heritage. They seek appreciation for the tales handed down from their elders. Some continue to conduct customary rituals at the lines. Others believe that spirits watch over the desert. Even though technology indicates new formations, many families assert, "We were already aware." Thankfully, a group of researchers are beginning to pay attention. Several academic groups are now asking community leaders for help in identifying and researching new locations. They are providing resources and education and meeting with village elders to learn about their experiences. But will these mysteries survive long enough for us to solve them? Let's find out. The fading story in the sand. For over 2,000 years, the Nazca Lines have withstood extreme temperatures, strong winds, and the passing of time. These ancient drawings in the desert of southern Peru have remained untouched as the world evolved. However, their biggest danger today is not from natural causes, but from human impact. Despite being recognized as a UNESCO World Heritage Site in 1994, the Nazca Lines have not been adequately protected. A devastating incident occurred in 2014 when Greenpeace activists trespassed into a restricted area and left footprints near the iconic hummingbird figure while setting up a protest banner. This thoughtless act caused permanent damage to a historical treasure that had remained untouched for centuries. Unfortunately, this is just one instance. In the past, vehicles used for off-roading have crossed protected areas, causing damage to ancient markings. Illegal mining has wiped out entire portions of these sites. Geoglyphs are now crossed by roads and power lines. Building projects have covered up delicate engravings. Although AI technology has successfully identified some faint figures, it is regrettable that some were only recognized after being harmed or ruined. Climate change is causing more negative effects. The desert used to be very dry, with the lines left undisturbed. But now, increased rainfall, sandstorms, and flooding are putting the delicate grooves at risk. These lines are not very deep, so heavy water can easily wash them away. With each change in weather, there is a danger. Experts examined the area after floods in 2007 and found some damage, showing that these figures are fragile and would not stand the test of time. Human negligence is still contributing to the risk. In 2012, people illegally occupied land close to the area, allowing pigs to wander near ancient burial sites. The following year, machines from a quarry destroyed certain parts of the ancient lines. Then in 2018, a truck unintentionally drove over 3 geoglyphs, causing significant damage to the sacred surface. Each of these events slowly erodes the history that we are responsible for safeguarding. In 2025, the Ministry of Culture in Peru attempted to decrease the size of a protected reserve by nearly half. Even though the decision was reversed soon after, it highlighted the delicate nature of political backing for conservation. This situation prompts the question, how can we safeguard things we haven't even discovered yet? AI is becoming an important tool to protect ancient geoglyphs. The technology that found hundreds of new geoglyphs is now being used to watch over and protect them. Drones and satellites can notify experts of any damage. Machine learning monitors changes in the desert. This helps teams react quickly, seek government support, and inform the public about the risks involved. However, simply being aware of the situation is not sufficient. The desert is becoming drier at a quicker pace and the sand is moving more frequently. There is a growing number of tourists and the enforcement of regulations is not strong enough. Some individuals still view the Nazca Lines as nothing more than sketches in the soil, but they are historical artifacts dating back to a period without written books. These stories were etched into the ground by a civilization that did not have a formal written language, communicating through symbolic lines that extend across the quiet terrain. Now those voices are becoming quieter. We are at a crucial moment in time where we have to decide whether to use our available resources to safeguard these vulnerable pieces of history or risk losing them permanently. The Nazca Lines do not just require our admiration, but also need us to take action to preserve them. Once they disappear, we will never be able to recover them. If you enjoyed this video, like and subscribe and also click the next video shown on your screen.